What's up, Joe 200? How are you? All right, so today is September 10th, 2023, and we're going to go into a little bit of biology. We're going to just give you this very superficial background of what goes on in the Leonard Davis School of Gerontology with respect to biology and laboratories all across the world that look at the biology of aging. All right, big weekend here. Okay, so USC beat up on Stanford. It's really great. I got some props here. Always fun to celebrate, and it's always good to be on the winning side. Okay, there we are. All right. However, we should also have some compassion for poor Stanford, who kind of got beat up by our Trojans. Think about all the hours and work that those guys put in to their season, and to have that happen, I'm sure it was a fairly disappointing night last night. Got my Lakers shirt on because that's just who I am. I was a big fan of the Lakers during the Johnson era, Magic Johnson, Kobe era, LeBron's era. I'm all in it. And of course, then we have this right here, okay? And it's time to start pumping up for the Rams, okay? The Chargers, all right? Rams are playing the Seahawks right now, barely winning. It's all good. So, if you're new to the class, okay, and a lot of you guys have seen this from me, the last day to add was on Friday, so we got a couple newbies, all right? And it's all good. Welcome to the class. So what you have to do when you're new to the class is understand that we keep you informed all throughout the semester, and we do this by lots of communication, okay? And so the communication is via email, all right? I know Gen Zers like to use their phone and like to text away, okay? And really hate looking at their emails, but the current professional world, who's in control of everything, uses email, including us, all right? So you got to check your emails. What we have here, okay, what I'm scrolling through are announcements in this class, and every announcement that we create, there's the very first one right there, we send it out as an email as well. So if you're new to the class, this is the chronological order. This was the welcoming fight on, welcome to Joe 200 way back when, okay? This was August 18th, okay? And this one's an important one, and you're going to see this all throughout, okay? We had Hurricane earlier. We just had another hurricane blow through. For all you surfers, it resulted in just this intense culmination to the full season of surfing. And there is a very, very, very cool worldwide surfing circuit. And the World Surf League is the epitome. And it comes down to the last day, and they had it down in my neck of the woods down at Trestles. Couldn't go because we'll discuss later on. I was there as a caregiver in support of my wife Julie, my co-instructor, who had to get an infusion, okay, for her cancer that she is fighting right now. All right, we're going to explain all that later. All right, it's all part of gerontology. You know, we teach it, and of course, we all have to live it. Right, but it was awesome, and the Brazilian storm continued to rise up, and it was Felipe Toledo, all right, and he won his second in a row, and it was really cool. Big waves. You can check it out. Okay, that's called the World Surf League. Alrighty, so, and it's separate from Hurricane Hillary. All right, I can't remember the name of the hurricane that just blew off. It's crazy. We had two hurricanes kind of come up, sliding up the California coast this year. So this right here, guys, if you just added the class, this is how to get an A, how to navigate this course. It explains everything. It is basically the syllabus in a YouTube lecture, okay? A lot easier to consume, a lot easier to follow. Certainly go in there and download the syllabus, okay? But this is really the guide to how to navigate this pure 100% asynchronous Blackboard course. It comes all the way up here and explains how to navigate all these different bits and pieces. These are all people that have been really successful in gerontology, and this is why they help us in terms of grading. We actually have 233 students, so this is why we have such a big team, okay? And we monitor incredibly to make sure there's a consistency. You do the work, you get an A. I would say 70% of the class can get A's in this class because you just have to do the work. You know, the people that fall off the rails, the people that don't do the work, all right? So anyways, these are all different communications that have been made. Check them out, okay? Download the syllabus if you're new to class, okay? We also have over here, again, everything is all lined up. There's your syllabus right there, okay? This is what I'm going to be going into right here. this is up and coming, okay? So I'm gonna, you can go ahead and look ahead. It's your first paper. We're gonna go grab some data from a really cool um, worldwide database, okay? Where we're gonna look at some of the issues that are pertinent to you being, say, a population demographer or an epidemiologist, that kind of work. And yeah, you could work for the Pew Foundation, the U.S. government, the state of California, Kaiser Family Foundation, on and on, if you knew how to do this kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, so I'm going to guide you to that later. All right, there's already a video in place if you want to go ahead from last semester. All right, so down here, if you're new to class, this is what I'm pointing to, how-to folders. Okay, you click on this, and lo and behold, you come in here, and this is the step-by-step things that you should do. Julia Walsh, my wife, okay, my co-instructor for 11 years in this class, okay, she is the point person, okay, so if you have any questions, any issues, you email her directly, not me, because what I end up doing is I just forward all the emails I get to her. So she is the course administrator. She's super fair and will help you get through any problems that you might have, okay? So, all right, and her email is on the syllabus as well, all right? So that's how you do that. All right, this is how to get an A right here, okay? How to use Turnitin for the first paper if you haven't done it before. How to avoid plagiarism, okay? This is becoming kind of a slippery slope, in one of my classes, I'm actually having my students, they make a website instead of a paper. It's like a course on cancer, and I want them to use artificial intelligence because it's taken over the world. And if you're not ahead of this and on the front end of using AI, then you're going to get left behind. So, anyways, how to use discussion boards? Okay, right there. Right now, though, we are going to be using Turnitin, so make sure you look into this. Okay, all right. What if you just added GERO 200? Okay, but there's Julia's email address right there. All right, so contact her if you have any issues. All right. All right, here's Blackboard Help for students. This is how you look at your old quizzes. You go into your grade book, you click on the number, and it'll come up. And yeah, so that's it. If you have any emergencies, yeah, COVID is ripping through your population right now. So we understand. We are here to help. We are not the kinds of instructors that are a firewall between you and a successful career. We are a nurturing community here. All right, so what are we doing? Going right into the weekly assignments, and if you're new to class, this is what you do every week. No book for this class. This explains the whole concept of having basically open access materials. It's free to you, okay, these open education resources, and actually it's a great way for us to stay totally current. So we're constantly updating this class every single semester. Yeah, we got updated in a big way because we are going to Brightspace by Desire to Learn, and Blackboard will be no more as of summer 2024. All righty, so these are the first 3 weeks, okay? If you click on, for example, this one right here, all right, that's the lecture that I did last weekend, okay? So, and again, it just guides you through the material. What I do is I just kind of, it's like we're sitting down and we're looking at the material together, and I'm giving you my 2 cents, okay, how I would go about looking at it, all right? So that's how you do that. You either go back here or go back here. You see my hand light up there. I'm going back into my weekly assignments. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down into week 4, okay? I'm going to guide you through what's, on the surface, for a lot of you guys, is going to be, God, this is difficult. I hate biology. Okay, I didn't take any classes in biology. You should know biology. What I don't, what people don't realize, and I always, all my students that take all my science classes, I teach all the pre-meds, all the big upper division classes, and these are classes, like I said, about cancer and diabetes, heart disease, classes about all the brain diseases of aging. And what people don't realize is 75% of people that go into science, guess where they end up? They end up in the business world because business rules, okay? It all comes down to the bottom line. So you understanding this will give you a leg up. Maybe someday you become a fund manager, okay? I was just talking about this in class, in my cancer class. It's called the physiology of aging, but it's really mostly cancer biology and epidemiology. So in terms of where money is going, okay, and when it's coming for, so the federal government, when you pay federal income tax, okay, that money goes into the central pool, which is in Washington, D.C., and then it gets distributed, all right, for all the different branches of government. One of the branches of government is the National Institutes of Health. A small subset branch of that is called the National Institute of Aging, okay? National Institutes of Health, and this is the National Institute of Aging, on Aging. It has a budget of about $3 billion a year right now, which is bigger than it ever has been. But guess what just happened? Okay, you know how this our country has, not our country, how the country of Saudi Arabia has been investing a lot of different new venture capital. They're buying up soccer teams, they bought up golf, on and on. And they're doing this because they want a return on their investment. They just announced, okay, remember, we, as our government, put in $3 billion a year into aging. They just announced that they're going to be putting $8 billion a year into aging research. All right, looking for a return on that investment. All right, because there's a whole new branch of business where, as we understand the biology of aging, compounds are being produced. Okay, sometimes they're just being isolated from fruits and veggies. Okay, and being tooled up for maybe slowing aging, but more importantly, reducing our risk for disease. And they're all in because you can make a lot of money doing this, okay? And you can just take a look at all the different anti-aging companies that are out there. The nutritional supplement industry, it's a big deal. All right, anyway, so to give you some background on this, okay, there's a really, really cool video right here, okay? So well done, it's totally worth watching, okay? So I encourage you guys to watch this. And they go over some of the key concepts. The one thing I was thinking about, that this is always true of science, and that we all get specialized, okay? So I was a neurophysiologist by trade, okay? And then I had friends that were molecular biologists. I had friends that specialized in endocrinology. I have friends that specialize in biochemistry, and everybody looks at something, a problem from their own specialty angle. It's just, it's the way of the world. If you're an attorney, you don't practice all kinds of law. Some people, they practice employment law. Some people practice environmental law. Some people will practice divorce law, okay, family law. Some people will practice accident insurance law, on and on and on and on, okay? So you always see something from your perspective. If you look at doctors, you're a urologist, you're a neurologist, okay? You're a hematologist. What else are you? You're a reproductive medicine doctor. You're a cardiologist. You're an orthopedic surgeon. So you don't do it all. You all have your own specialty. And this is true of aging as well. And so a big part of aging, when we look at what we're going over this week, it reflects back to this concept here of the blind man and the elephant, where everybody, with this old parable, everybody looks at it from their own unique perspective, right? So I'm going to go back here and we're going to
friend from their village who worked as a gardener on the palace grounds. Their friend led them to the courtyard. There stood an elephant. The blind men stepped forward to touch the creature that was the subject of so many arguments. The first blind man reached out and touched the side of the huge animal. An elephant is smooth and solid like a wall, he declared. It must be very powerful. The second blind man put his hand on the elephant's limb or trunk. An elephant is like a giant snake, he announced. The third blind man felt the elephant's pointed tusk. I was right, he decided. This creature is as sharp and deadly as a spear. The fourth blind man touched one of the elephant's four legs. What we have here, he said, is an extremely large cow.
So you get the concept. You have this limited perspective. You don't see the picture as a whole. And this is kind of aging research as people get specialized and look at one idea, one concept. Hey, there's the finals yesterday from surfing. It was pumping. It was so cool. Here, let's check it out just real quickly. I can't help it. All right.
What a match that we have for you. Ethan Ewing up again.
Right, here we go.
Here we go with Double E. Oh. That's the rail worker that we're talking about when we talk about...
Let's get back to the very beginning.
Bit of hustle. Looks like Ethan
Ethan sneaking under there. Here we go with double E.
Just down the street from my
That's
house.
the rail worker that we're talking about when we talk about Ethan Ewing. Sharp on that DHD design.
When all that foam's on the face, it disrupts the water flow underneath the board, underneath the fins. But Ethan just powering through it. Love this water angle. You can just see how...
Pretty cool. Yeah, I was like that all day long. I say both men's and women's championships are crowned. Big deal. They get prize money, they get sponsorships. So professional sports at its best. Back to the blind man and the elephant. Okay. So what's going on there? Okay, when we talk about aging research. Okay, and we're going to get back into this when we look at I want you to watch the video. So one group of people noticed that cells that undergo cell division have a limit in their ability to divide and replace dead cells in tissue. Okay, so what happens is, you know, our rate of cell division is real rapid when we're young. Okay, when we're older, it slows down. As a result, you get wrinkles in your skin because you don't replace your skin cells. Your GI system doesn't work as well. We have very rapid cell replacement in the cells that line the inner core. It's called the lumen of your intestines. So it impacts our ability to absorb nutrients. You get lots of GI problems when you get older. Okay. What else? Our immune system undergoes cell division, okay? And it gets really slow when you get older. And as a result, you see, well, boom, what happened during COVID, we could not mount this rapid cell division to fight off the COVID virus like somebody who was younger. So these are all different examples of cell division issues. And then the one that we're going to talk about in detail, the cell division issue that is most paramount to men and women. We're going to come down here. We're going to talk about the fact that your fertility, both male and female, plummets as you get older, okay? And it is linked to this cell division concept, okay? And so you are in the sweet spot right now, okay, in your 20s for being very fertile, for producing, you know, we talked a lot about fertility and morbidity in the first part. Now we're talking about hands-on fertility. This, like, you know, what's your likelihood of getting pregnant or getting somebody pregnant, and how that declines with aging. And it has a lot to do with this slow cell division. Okay, you know, you don't just produce an egg, but you have this whole supportive tissue that undergoes massive cell division for the ovary to release the egg, and then it goes down to the uterus, and then it's game on in terms of cell division if you get pregnant, but not if you're older. Okay. So that's an issue. For us men, we have testosterone produced in one type of cell, and then we have another type of cell that undergoes massive cell division that is responsible for producing sperm. And so the number of sperm that we produce goes way down when we get older, and the quality of our sperm goes down. Okay. All right. So that's part one, number one that you see in this video. Number two. Okay. So there's a natural kill switch that exists in sickly cells. And then we can replace it with these new cells. It's awesome, okay? We're like a well-oiled machine in terms of our bodies. However, as we get older, the kill switch begins to screw up, and so we then start to collect these old sickly cells. They're called senescent cells. So they have gone through the full aging process where they're not working, but we can't get rid of them. They take up space. They oftentimes release different contents that are really bad for that tissue or that organ. So it's a mess. And so there's a lot of aging research. New companies are about, hey, I think we can figure out how to get rid of these old sickly cells, okay? All right, there's a lot of focus these days on nutrition, okay? So fasting is everything, okay? And I have a former student who was a coder, okay, back in the day, and they actually sold their rewards company, where they were the middleman between the client, the consumer, and apps, and they would, you know, throw out confetti and balloons and shit like that online, you know, and they sold the company and made a lot of money. And then he went into the fasting area where he's selling pills that will enhance the effect of fasting. Why do we fast? Okay, when we have a lot of food, a lot of nutrition, and this has been an explosion over the last 20 years. When we have a lot of food and overnutrition, like we have, okay, in developed countries, westernized countries, okay, where we have excess, You think about our ancestors, man. We would go, find a bunch of berries or grains or bark, whatever we would eat. Every occasionally get some meat, and then we would go maybe a couple of days and we wouldn't have anything. Okay, so when we have food, yeah, time to go through cell division. When we don't have food, you know what? The cells that we have, we go in and repair them, get rid of all their mutations and DNA damage. So when the food comes back again, you're putting out Cadillac cells that don't have any damage. But if you have nutrition all the time, there's no repair. And so you start passing along problems from cell to cell to cell. There goes my doggies. And hold on a sec. Come here, guys. All right. They saw something in the backyard. No, it is. Oh, it's my son. All right. Well, good watchdogs. Okay. Anyways, now they, oh my God, they've tackled my son. I'm just kidding. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, this concept of overnutrition, okay, is bad for us. Okay. We have an obesity epidemic in our westernized developed countries, and as a result, we have this financial burden that we talked about in the previous weekly readings about these non-communicable chronic diseases of aging that are a huge financial burden to you as an individual, to our communities, to our governments, everything. And so it's a big deal. So that's why there's so much public service PSA announcements about, hey, you got to get out there and exercise. You got to do better in terms of your nutrition. Do more plant-based, on and on. Because it is, if you have too much nutrition, you drive the crap out of the system, and it's no good. That's what this is all about. Well, we have, in fact, they talk about it in this lecture, one of the big supplements that is a moneymaker, okay? You see this NAD+, okay? It's really complicated for you guys, but it's just a molecule that is sitting there monitoring. It's a sensor for, hey, there's food coming in, there's not food coming in. When there's food coming in, the NAD plus turns into a thing called NADH, and that then produces all the fuel, the rocket fuel for cell division. When there's not any food coming in, it turns back to NAD plus, all right? That's all you need to know. And this NAD plus says, okay, we are not going to do cell division, and we're going to go in there and repair all the problems as best we can until the next bolus of food comes along, all right? So this is the huge part of the nutritional supplement industry, because there are molecules that they're basically downstream. If you take vitamin B3 or niacin, it does the same thing. But these ones, it's called NMN and NR for long ass names, and what they do is they would be the next step after you take your niacin in terms of what goes on in your body. They're absorbed quickly and they push the system harder to make NAD+. There's very little support of this, okay? But there's a lot of money to be made, and that's what that's all about, okay? All righty. And then the last thing is stem cells, okay? And they run out over time, okay? Has a lot to do with this very end part of the chromosomes on, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, okay? And every time we undergo cell division, the very tips of those chromosomes get smaller. Each time they get smaller, it slows down the rate at which stem cells work. And then ultimately, when this little tip goes, called a telomere, then cell division stops. So this right here, it says stem cell exhaustion, and it's related to this shortening of the very tip of the chromosome called the telomere, all right? It's also important as the telomere shortens with each stem cell division. So think about it. We produce billions, I'm talking billions of brand new red blood cells and white blood cells in our blood. It comes from our bone marrow every single day. And it starts with what are called blood stem cells, called hematopoietic stem cells. Every time those stem cells go through cell division, they do a crappier job. The telomere gets shorter. Their ability to make new ones it takes forever. I'm exaggerating, but it takes longer, okay? And those little caps on the tops of these chromosomes, they protect the rest of the chromosome from undergoing problems like mutations that result in DNA damage. So now we can see, again, the concept of the blind man and the elephant, okay? What we're seeing here is for all these different perspectives, they're totally interrelated. If you have, because of the shortening of the stem cells, okay, of the telomeres, sorry, that happens in your stem cells, they divide less well, okay, you accumulate DNA damage, that's going to cause errors in the genes that are read out. Now, what is a gene? Okay, gene's just a recipe for making the nuts and bolts parts of your cells that do all the jobs, like proteins, okay? You know, a lot of us have heard of proteins like keratin in our hair, okay? But how about the keratins like myosin in your muscle, okay? Proteins like tubulin in your brain, okay? All right. So yeah, so you can see that these guys are all interrelated. Here, right here, we see that cells are not dying when they're supposed to, all right? And that's some of the proteins that are functional for killing cells off are kill switch proteins. They don't work as well, okay? Cells then become that intermediate senescent cell, and then this causes and see, we're just kind of going around the horn. This machinery malfunction in terms of the organ could be my kidney, could be my GI system, could be my bone marrow. Okay, and it leads to all kinds of imbalances. All right, awesome. So this is the article that was taken from. You can go ahead and check it out. Okay, and then since we know that these are all the problems, and again, this is related to this video and related to this reading, okay, then what can we do? What are the solutions? And this is where the big business part is coming, guys, all right? So maybe we can do stem cell therapies. There's all kinds of research on that, okay? Like I said, there's new approaches just based on nutritional supplements that will help get rid of these senescent cells, all right? Awesome. This right here is fancy talk, okay? We got to get rid of the old powerhouses, the mitochondria, and put in brand new ones. You know what the best way to do that? Exercise and limiting your diet, a little bit of fasting, or at the very least, the Mediterranean diet, okay? So these are all crucial on this, okay? Again, we're starting to see that overlap, okay? What about anti-inflammatory drugs, okay? So the big consequence of tissue going bad is the immune system flips out a little bit, okay? And so you get too many senescent cells, the immune system flips out, and we have inflammation. So all the diseases of aging, so vascular diseases that cause heart attacks, vascular diseases that cause kidney dysfunction and kidney loss, okay? Renal disease, strokes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, on and on and on. They're inflammatory diseases, okay? So if we could figure that out, it's huge, okay? We're gonna figure out how to get rid of those damaged cells, like I said, okay? Can we fix the telomeres? That's a slippery slope, okay? Because guess what? The #1 mutation that exists in cancer cells is an enhanced telomere at the very end, okay? So telomerase is the enzyme that puts it back on, which is all good, except for when in overdrive, then you have cancer. So these are all different things to think about here. Epigenetic drugs. So everything you do in life. So we have somewhere around 20,000 different genes, or 23 pairs of chromosomes. None of those. All those genes are not turned on at the same time or turned off, okay? There's switches, okay? You're on, you're off, you're on, you're off, and that's why some of my cells look like skin cells, some of my cells look like kidney cells, heart cells, same recipe, same cookbook of 23 chromosomes. It's just a matter of which recipes are being turned on and turned off. That's epigenetics, okay? We see that in terms of our development, but also we see that in terms of lifestyle. So if you exercise and have a good diet, or if you smoke cigarettes and you're obese, different genes get switched on and off, and it can be really, really bad. And that's the concept of epigenetics, all right? Alrighty, so we know that if we do a little bit of fasting, that's what it is. In dietary restriction, science over tools it because they have to see a big effect, okay? The reality is, there's a lot, the blue zones that one of them I just came from, and there was this overarching concept is that when we live in a country of excess like the United States, where there's unlimited food all the time, then we're approaching it like we would from our ancestors. You eat as much as you can. because you don't know where the next meal is coming from. My dogs right now, if I put food out and it was out there all the time, they would get obese, okay? Because that's just what evolution tells us to do, all right? So the approach is what's called the 80% rule. Eat very slowly, which is, it's hard here. That's fast food. We only have 45 minutes to eat. We're go, 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 go. And it's something that I have appreciated, when you travel and come from different cultures. If you have a really, really slow process of eating, you hang out with your family and friends, instead of the meal lasting 45 minutes, maybe the meal lasts a couple hours, and then signals come up in your brain to slow your roll, and you eat about 75, 80% of what you thought you might eat. So that's the goal here, and it then changes the activation of these different molecules that you see right there that are their goal is to repair cells. So one's called sirtuin, okay, the other one's called the AMPK, and then we want to inhibit this gas pedal for cell division called mTOR. All right? Alrighty, cool. If you're new to the class, I should have told us already. Open up the quiz in a second browser in a second window. Okay. Now, perspective. Okay, we're going to go through. I'll fly through the reading. Okay, and so what our goal is with all these interventions is, we're increasing the lifespan. There's no doubt about it. We took a hit in terms of the average lifespan of our country, but that's not a true reflection of the huge increase in centenarians and people that are octogenarians, et cetera. Yes, a lot of the vulnerable population died during COVID, okay? Obviously people that were really, really unhealthy and older, they died off, and so that impacted our death rate, the death rate that went up, and also as a result, the lifespan in our country went down, okay? Same thing with opioids, okay? However, that's just that reflection of these very vulnerable people. On average, we're pushing the envelope. We're getting all kinds of longevity, but we don't want it to be like this, and so what can we do, okay, to have optimal living while increasing the lifespan? That's the big goal right there, okay? And, sometimes you get screwed by doing the right thing, overdoing the right thing. Right? So me being an athlete my whole life, I've had probably 7 orthopedic surgeries, because I injure my joints, like my shoulder joint, like my knees, like my back, because I'm pushing it. Okay, every one of these injuries was because of a sporting activity that I was doing. Okay, anyways. So, but this is the goal of all these new treatments, all right? Let's take a look at what we're talking about in terms of fertility. This is your, hold on a sec. I'm going to be right back because my dogs are losing it, so hold on. Come on, guys. Come on, in. Okay. You guys want to come visit? Come on. Come here. They're not coming. Come here. There he is. Hey, Lucy, come here, Lucy, come here. Lucy, come here. You're the good girl. Look at her. She's such a good dog. There goes Desi. That's the brother. Go. All right. Anyways, that's my life. All right. Dogs are good, though. They reduce your stress, improve your health and lifespan. Okay. So what we're doing here in this discussion right here is we're considering one aspect of aging. Okay, I talked about limited cell division. I talked about the telomeres, and that really, really impacts our fertility. Okay, and so we look, for example, the consequences of going through cell division, men and women. Okay, so first of all, okay, we look at our overall production right here. So this is what it looks like. That's the testes. And in these tubes right here, all filled through your testes, are just tons and tons of these columns of cells. And we're looking here, and each one of these guys are undergoing major cell division until they start producing sperm, and then you pump them out, all right? All that cell division goes down as you get older, okay? And the quality goes down as you get older as well because of things like the telomere that we're talking about, all right? So that's going to screw with our the guy fertility, okay? Alrighty, what else do we have going on here? All right, women, okay? So let's look at this right here, okay? So, you know, you're born with a limited number of eggs, okay? So we're looking at the follicle numbers, okay, right here, okay, in thousands, all right? And so we see that, you know, more than enough eggs, okay, to repopulate your existence, okay? But you see this decline in the number of eggs, okay? And then you get right here, you're in this peak area right here, 20 and 30. And then your fertility declines, okay? You start exhausting, you don't have as much cell division, okay? You don't have as many eggs. And the support that requires for cell division that happens right here in the here in terms of making the egg come out, all right? So this is the cycle you go through every month, ladies, okay? And guys, you should be aware of this, okay? And so as your ovary cycles, the section of the ovary that is producing the egg, that releases that egg, that hopefully will get fertilized so you're pregnant, okay? You see all the increase in the number of cells. That's cell division, cell division, cell division, cell division, cell division, okay? And then it involutes and disappears, okay? At the same time, you're driving cell division down here in your uterus, all right? It grows, and then it disappears, okay? Awesome. So what did I say about cell division when you get older, all right? It goes down, the quality goes down, and so this whole process gets screwed up and you're less likely to get pregnant, okay, as we see right here, all right? So this big fertility decline. Alrighty, so the reality is, okay, what are you guys designed for? You guys are reproductive machines right now. You should, okay, you're somewhere between 20 and 22. You graduate when you're 22. Biologically, okay, you know, you went through puberty right around here, okay, so that was when it was time to start making kids, all right? So by the time you're right here, you should, here at your age, probably have 3 kids, okay? I think that would be biologically what we were designed for, okay? And maybe by the time you're 35, you have 7 kids, okay? Boom. And then guess what happens, all right? No more kids because your fertility massively declines, you lose your eggs and you go through menopause, all right? All right, so that's what you're kind of up against, okay? All right, so we're looking down here at the consequences of the telomeres, okay? All right, those end parts of your chromosome falling apart, okay? Where they're getting shorter and shorter, okay? And so what happens is now I'm not protecting those cells that are ongoing cell division to make my sperm cells, so the DNA gets all screwed up, fragmented, okay? Lower sperm count, like I said, because it's really slow slow cell division, and because the ones I'm putting out are no good, they can hardly even swim, all right? What's that going to do to my ability to fertilize somebody's egg? It's going to screw it up, all right? So a big part of fertility, guys, is you, okay? All righty. We look over here, you know, at the ladies, okay? And we have, you know, again, the telomeres, okay? And you know, what happens, okay? And we see that fertility, when we look at fertility factors associated with long telomeres, okay? You can have multiple births, okay? You have high levels of estrogen, which drives cell division, which makes for a perfect medium, like your uterus, okay? We come down here, okay, and we look at the fertility where it's gone the other way, okay, and you have lots of miscarriages, you have ovarian insufficiency, and you have problems, okay? Alrighty, so, but it's a weird balance between, if you're really, the concept is, people live longer if they don't have a bunch of kids, okay? Because so much is driven into cell division here that you exhaust it, right? That's neither here nor there, and you can check out that article if you're interested in that, okay? Here's the nuts and bolts, guys, all right? So we're looking at here the fertility rate, looking at, and not to put all the burden on women, I already told you guys, your sperm's all screwed up when you get older, okay? But we look at the fertility rate per 1,000 married women, okay? And we see here, here, this is prime time, okay? So this is, you know, 450 births per 1,000 women, okay? right here in their early 20s, and then you see it just starts to fall off the cliff, okay? So a lot of us are going to get our careers together and say, okay, I'm ready at 35, okay? However, your fertility rate is about 50% of what it used to be, and then it really just goes, okay? At the same time, not only are you producing less cells, the whole culture medium, that is your body, is not as good for making babies go full term. We see here that the number of miscarriages, and this is kind of a crappy, especially as it's a hot ticket item politically, abortion. Miscarriages are called spontaneous abortions, okay? And you see the number of miscarriages skyrockets as a function of age as well, all right? So it's a pretty cool article. Check it out if you're interested, okay? And this is right here in the conversation, right? All right, so that's right there, the conversation article. Okay, and then lastly, this is a chance for you to educate yourself about infertility treatment. This is an amazing website, so I want you to go in there and just kind of check it out. This shows you what to do right here. You click on menu when you go into this website. Click the website right here, okay? And then if you have an interest, because maybe you want to get pregnant, okay? Somebody that does, okay? Or maybe someday you do. I would put this website into your back pocket, okay? And it explains to you. You can click on each one of these items here. So right here, for example, I clicked on female for fertility testing. It took me to here, and then these are all the items of interest through the female fertility testing part of this website. Really, really well done, professionally done, extensively done. In that website, for example, they talk about this. Let's say you're having trouble getting pregnant, okay? So what we can do, okay, is we can put in the hyperdrive the communication between your brain and it goes brain, pituitary gland, and to your ovaries, and just push out tons of hormones. Usually what happens is, remember the cycle where it grew, more and more estrogens, okay, the estrogens will shut this off, and boom, you're done. You go in and you have menstruation. What we can do is fool the system by blocking the estrogens with what's called clomiphene citrate, okay? And then you just put this in the hyperdrive and you push out tons of eggs. So we want to see in one cycle what's your maximum capacity of eggs that you can put out, okay? In fact, this is a fertility treatment drug that is used to make you a super ovulator. And your ovaries become the size of grapefruits. Wait, I gotta introduce you to the boy dog now. This is Dazzy, hi buddy. Daisy's a good boy, huh? Are you smiling? Are you smiling? How is my buddy boy? All right, Daisy's a good boy. Yes, he is. Okay. Do you want to say goodbye? Okay. Very cool. Let's get close to dinner time. Okay. All right. So yeah. So we can give you clomiphene, and you could. Who knows? You could have in one cycle put out 15 eggs, and next you know you have quadruplets or quintuplets, okay? The other thing is there is another drug called Lupron that looks just like this FSH that you inject and boom, same drill, get tons of eggs that cycle through. So that's an example of fertility treatment. And this is a laundry list of the types of drugs that you could use to enhance your fertility. So you guys check that out as well. You think you're not going to be there, but I know a lot of you are, all right? Because in our current world, you guys got to get jobs, and then lo and behold, you say, I'm ready, I'm 35, and then you're having trouble. All right? So this is why this is a huge industry, and it's related to the biology of aging with respect to fertility. These last two are called in vitro fertilization. And this is where no matter what we're doing, it can't work. Why is that happening? Remember the uterus, okay? So we come back over here, okay? And sometimes the cell division is so poor here, okay? I don't care how many eggs we put out, there's nothing for the egg to embed into when it gets fertilized by the sperm, okay? Relatively, okay? And so you have some trouble. So maybe we can amp it up by doing some fertility treatment, and that's what that's all about. So I want you guys to look at in vitro fertilization, okay? We're gonna let it grow, okay? And then implant that into your uterus, okay? It's expensive, it's gonna cost you 20, 30 grand maybe, not covered by insurance, right? Lastly, this comes down here. I already told you that, or what's happening with our sperm, guys, okay? Mutations, low sperm count. They don't work very well, okay? It is what it is, okay? Then we come down here and we look at the impact that this has. And there was a study here that looked at a lot of mental health issues associated with older fathers, okay? So they did the study here looking at paternal age, okay? What do we see here, okay? And these are, three different ways of looking at it, okay? So the best way is to look at these triangles right here, okay? And you see the likelihood of autism, ADHD, psychosis, substance abuse, suicidality, bipolar disorder. What do we see here, okay? It's all associated with an increase in dad's sperm age, okay? Because of some of the damage that happened to the DNA, all right? Awesome. So this is all stuff for you to think about. And I want you to then discuss your emotions about your reproductive future now that you're educated in the whole process, all right? So, do go through this, spend a good week on this, and it makes the biology of aging relevant. Now, the actual reading, okay, is right here, all right? Coming up, right there. And it's one of the more complete documents, but it's got it is biology. So and it's relevant to what I've been talking about here. So of course researchers like the blind man and the elephant, they're how do we age? Okay, a lot of it becomes theoretical based on your perspective. Okay, your specialty. Okay, are you a molecular biologist? Do you study epigenetics? On and on and on and on and on and on. Okay, so when we look at it, one of the first things that was observed, okay, is that if you limit the number of calories that animals take in, okay, again, the problem with this, the comparative group was always like a group of rats or a group of fruit flies or whatever. We gave them unlimited access to unlimited food, and then another group that we gave them the 80% rule. We said, okay, we're going to limit how much you take in. Lo and behold, guess what? The ones that ate less lived longer, okay? Took them a little bit longer to become reproductively competent, so it slowed that process down, so it's linked a little bit to reproductive hormones and reproductive endocrinology. But it modulates an existing aging process, okay? So overnutrition is certainly a big deal, and when we look at it, okay, when we have unlimited food and unlimited cell division, okay, without the repair that I was talking about, when you take in your candy bar, you release insulin, okay? Then insulin, okay, basically powers glucose into your liver, into your fat cells, into cells all throughout your body, okay? And it says store them, or use them now for cell division, okay? Same thing, the IGF-1, it's a big ticket thing, and what it is that's released by the liver, okay? So when you have a meal, you have a hormone called growth hormone that's released in your brain, goes down to the liver, and when there's food around, okay, that's key, when there's food around, then the growth hormone tells the liver to release IGF-1, and that goes and powers the amino acids in all the cells, and says, guess what? Let's go ahead and power up the cells and go through lots and lots of cell division. When there's no food around, that same growth hormone does a different thing, okay? Doesn't release IGF-1, it goes to fat cells and says, hey, I haven't ate food for a long time. It goes to fat cells and says, let's burn the fat. That gets disengaged when there's food around. The IGF-1 shuts that off in the fat cells, okay? All right, now, when you have crazy westernized society, industrialized society, too much food, obesity, fat in your, everywhere, all in your organs, big old tummy fat, it's called abdominal fat, visceral fat, okay? More fats in the bloodstream, and then that causes insulin resistance that leads to type 2 diabetes. And that's what this is talked about right here, in this part right here. This is a fancy word for too much glucose, okay? It candy coats all the proteins, the immune system loses it, okay? And so a consequence of overnutrition is unchecked cell division with lots of mutations. Consequences of overnutrition is the insulin resistance that leads to diabetes, and then this causes, because of all the weird candy coating, causes the immune system to lose it, and you get inflammation. All right, so that's what that's all about. Okay, alrighty. So this is again, different ways of looking at it, okay? There's this concept of antagonistic pleiotropy, okay? So, you know, the IGF-1 signal is a good thing, you know? You need it for muscles, bones, okay? If you don't have it, you know, you're really short in stature. You're not competitive in terms of reproduction. So yeah, so there's the good part, and then there's the bad. That's fancy talk in aging research, antagonistic, meaning I see it one way, you see it the other way, okay? Pleiotropy effects, okay? So the age-related antagonistic effect is that IGF-1 is super good to get you up and going and to kick ass reproductively in your 20s, all right? It's all good. But if you keep driving that IGF-1 system when you go 30, 40, 50, then you're going to get diseases of aging. Okay, then you're going to get the diabetes, you're going to get heart disease, you're going to get kidney disease, Alzheimer's disease, on and on and on. That's the example of antagonistic pleiotropy, okay? All right, another example is stress hormones. We use them all the time to get us through bad situations, but tapping into that same stress system all the time because you're psychologically having trouble is not what it's designed for, okay? All righty, there's our big friend, the mitochondria, okay? So in this concept, okay, we see this concept of mutations in mitochondria, okay? And as a result, the mitochondria don't work so well, and they generate these free radicals that then cause mutations everywhere in other parts of our cell function, in the nucleus where the 23 chromosomes are. Little biology, and mitochondria have their own DNA, their own little entities, okay? They're a little bit different. But they are like a really old crappy car spewing this exhaust of free radicals when you don't put brand new ones in. So what's the best way to put new mitochondria in? Exercise and diet that is restricted and mostly Mediterranean based. It rejuvenates them. If you're eating Big Macs every single day, 4 times a day, people do that, guess what? You don't put out the new mitochondria and you generate free radicals that cause mutations and problems. So this all comes down to damage to the DNA and problems in terms of maintaining our genetics, okay? Our genes, making sure the recipes are the way that they're supposed to be. All right, that's what that's all about. All right, neuroendocrine theory of aging. Again, this comes back to this, okay? A lot of aging research looks at simple, you know, if we're doing aging research and you're studying humans, you know, humans take 80 years to age, you know, there's no research grants that's going to cover that. How are you going to discover the key elements of that? So you do model systems. So this guy is a little tiny worm that exists in the soil, C. elegans, that only lasts a couple days. So if we can get a group of worms by altering their genes to last 10 days, we've found something. Then we say, is that gene, does it exist like in a fruit fly? It does. Does it exist in a mouse? It does. Then we start making some connections. And that's what the whole concept is there with that guy. All right? So from little worm, to fruit fly, to mouse, to human, that's what it's all about. Okay. Rate of living, this goes back to the mitochondria, okay? Alrighty, and then this the replicative senescence. Why can't they talk in English? Okay, this is the number of cell divisions. I already told you the cell division slowed down. I already told you that it was related to the very ends of the chromosomes. Okay, what do we call those? Telomeres. They get shorter, and all of a sudden, cells don't go through cell division very well. All right, guys, so that is the complete and total overview of this thing. Have fun with the reproductive section, okay? It's really, really interesting, and it's very relevant for you guys. All right, peace. I think the Rams won, so that's awesome, okay? There it is, all right? And go Trojans, and we'll see you guys next time.